Hello ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Terran strategy. Now in this particular replay, the Terran player we're focusing on is the little one, and the Zerg opponent here is Nertios. This is going to be a Terran versus Zerg strategy. Let's go right into the little one's vision. So what we're going to be taking a look at today is opening up with some Hellions, using those for map control, and then going for a quick expansion. You're going to follow up that opening of Hellions with a Marine tank build, and that's going to allow you to move out for a timing push. And we're actually going to be looking at a combat shield, marine tank, timing push, contain, and that quick expansion as well. So pretty cool build, pretty interesting build as well. Going to work really well on any of these larger maps. You can see here we are on Terminus RE, so this map it works well in particular, just given its sheer size. And any larger map, these quick expand builds and trying to maintain map control at the same time with those Hellions is going to work very, very well. So let's just take a quick look before we get right into all of the action at the general build order. Again, a disclaimer, realize build order is always going to be subject to change based on what your opponents are doing. But let's take a look at what the little one ended up using in this game. We saw him opening up with a 10 depot, 12 racks, 13 refinery. Then, of course, 16 supplies when that orbital command comes out. Now, what's going to happen is at 18 supplies, as soon as he had that 100 extra Vespian, that's when you see him drop this factory. Then at 20 supply, going to get a reactor on the barracks. Now, what you're going to be using that for is you're going to lift it off once the factory finishes so that you can get the double Hellions out of the factory. At that point, you're getting a tech lab on the barracks, and then you're lifting that off again to switch after those double Hellions for those tanks. And then you're going to be getting the command center. That expansion is going to be coming down at 22 supply. Going to see that in just one moment. Going to see that expansion get dropped down. And then you're going to later be getting a second refinery at 28 supply, and that's going to be, of course, to maintain your upgrades and that tank production. So here's that quick expansion. Now, once again, remember, this is going to work most. This is going to be most beneficial, a build like this, on any larger maps. It's really easy against early game Zerglings, which is what's used by Zerg players early game for map control, the Speedlings. Using these Hellions to counteract that is going to give you map control. It's going to let you make sure that you're the one in control of the towers, and it's going to possibly even provide some sort of a slight contain. If your opponent, of course, goes for roaches, the Hellions are at least going to be that pre-warning for you. That's going to provide you time to put up bunkers. And with enough mass repairs, you can fend off roaches. It's obviously much more difficult. A strong roach push would be a counter to this build, or would be something that, of course, would do very well to it. But again, these advanced Hellions are going to warn you of that before the roaches are anywhere near your base. And that's also going to allow you to start pumping out a few Marauders. So again, taking a look back here in the base, you can see that expansion's coming up. Once the reactor did finish, look at this map control, beautiful, beautiful. Once the reactor did finish on the racks, you lifted it off and then switch it with the factory for those double Hellions. And then as soon as you have 4 on the board, that's going to be plenty for map control and harassing. You're going to be moving it back and start up that tank production. Then with a tech lab on the barracks, what's going to happen is you're going to be starting to research your combat shield, get another barracks on what was once this reactor, start pumping out Marines, get that combat shield, start working with tanks, and get that expansion laid down. And there you go. You're just going to be pumping out Marines and tanks, and once you get that combat shield research, that's when the push comes. Now we can see right now the little one did push forward. Given that Spine Carlo placement, deciding, hey, you know, I'm probably not going to push into that, just going to take unnecessary losses. For now, just camp right outside their base. That's going to be a great tactic. It's going to let you see if they try to come. Again, any Zerglings that try to push out, you're going to be able to roast fairly well, especially with a nice spread like this. And if there are roaches, you just pull back. The Hellions are obviously infinitely faster than those roaches. You're able to get away no problem. At that point, you'll have advanced warnings. You could drop bunkers, and you would be all set. All right, so the expansion is up. You did see the little one actually go with the... Oh, what is he doing with that? Yeah, that's obviously a mistake. You did see the little one go with the orbital command first. You're going to see most players do that. Provides you that extra gathering time of energy as you're flying on over, and then you land it and go ahead and start dropping your mules, and there you have it. But right now, as we can see, the little one working his way up, just pumping out Marines. Got his siege tanks coming in, a siege mode coming. And like I said, this is going to be a timing-based push. Right when your combat shield finishes, that's when you're going to want to go ahead and move out. And with the next switch from that point, after the combat shield finishes and you're on your way out, you're going to be looking to get a Starport to start to tech your way up, getting Stim pack as well, and then an engineering bay for upgrades and turrets just in case you're up against Mutalists. You're, of course, going to want to spot your base and expansion with turrets. So here we go. Combat shield is finished right now. Little ones looking to push out. The real advantages to this build is obviously the timing push, taking advantage of that combat shield, giving you that momentary advantage in terms of tech. That's a great idea. Those Marines going to be very effective with that on them. The map control of these Hellions is phenomenal. Again, if roaches are on the board, then obviously the Hellion map control isn't going to work as well, but most of the time you're going to be seeing Zerglings, and if that's the case, then these Hellions are going to do a great job. Either way, you're going to get advanced warning with these Hellions, and that's why the opening's great. And something else to note too, I'm going to pause really quick here right before the push happens. We saw in this game, the little one didn't even do any harass. If you can manage your way around spine crawlers, obviously working into the econ with these initial Hellions is going to be a fantastic idea. Working your way right on in, 4 Hellions are going to do a great job if you can line up a big group of probes of taking them out. But that didn't even, drones, I'm sorry, but that didn't even happen in this game. I mean, all that really happened was the little one just used these for vision and scouting purposes. And again, with that map control, making sure that there were no Zerglings able to come out and grab towers or anything like that. So that's a real advantage, but if you manage with these initial 4 Hellions, it would be a fantastic idea to harass the econ. Now, the little one had tried that, but saw the spine crawler and opted out and decided, hey, not really going to be worth the losses if I try to push in through that spine crawler. But again, if that's not obstructing your push, go ahead, move in, and do some econ harass. So as we can see, that push is about to come in right now, and we're going to be seeing the transition here from the little one as well. You can see that starport coming up. We can see the fact that there is an engineering bay. I don't know where he placed it. There it is. Engineering bay coming down. So obviously once that comes up, you'd look to get that level 1 range upgrade. If you see or expect mutas, start to spot your base with a couple of turrets, defending your resources most importantly, and checking around your production buildings as well. And yeah, and there you have it. And the Marine tank is just going to be in general a good composition, but this timing push in particular can be very strong. Now, something else we're going to see the little one do in this push is he's going to go for kind of a bunker contain as well, bring in some SCVs with him, going to be dropping down a few bunkers, and this can help a lot. One big thing that this does is it makes it much more difficult for roaches and or Zerglings to get up on your tanks. It just puts something else obstructing their path to get towards it. Now we can see with these combat shields, obviously this Marine's going to be much more durable against roaches and Marines, or anything obviously that they come up against. Not going to help as much against banelings if you happen to see them, but if you do a nice spread, if you can spread your Marines from that, you're going to do really well. Tanks so strong against these roaches. Even having unsieged tanks isn't a bad idea. The DPS is fantastic. The only thing that you miss out on really is just that splash damage. But once you have these bunkers up, these Marines become that much more durable, on top of the fact that they've got combat shield when they're exposed out of the bunker. And this push is going to be very, very strong. Just slowly encroach right on the expansion. Make sure you keep a real nice spread. And again, having unsieged tanks, not the worst idea if he's very roach heavy. If he wasn't roach heavy and he had a lot more Zerglings, then you of course would want all your tanks in siege. But if you see a ton of roaches, keep a tank or two unsieged. That DPS is going to do great. It's going to tear right through them. And you don't have to worry about the roaches running up to those tanks and target firing them down. Obviously, the mobile tanks that are sieged up are much more vulnerable to that. So having a few unsieged will still give you that DPS and that ability to pull back if the roaches try to move forward for a target fire. So let's go ahead back here and take one more look at the build order. Also, we can see that transition. Big advantages again to this build: map control with the Hellions, possible harass with the Hellions if you can push and move through a spine crawler that's going to be blocking the front. With that map control, buying you time to get up your siege tank, your siege tech, your Marines, and that combat shield. And then, of course, one of the biggest things that I didn't even talk about really in the replay is the fact that he got up a quick expansion. I mean, that is huge. Dropping the Orbital Command at 22, dropping a command center at 22 supply, and getting up that very fast expansion. And that's another big part of this push and the attempted contain. Even if Nertio hadn't quit right here, having a contain, as the little one did, buys him lots of mining time, and that's another really big thing. It buys him time to get the base saturated and start to take advantage of those resources, and as we see, start to make that transition. Starport's up, start to get medevacs. The engineering bay is up. He would start to get upgrades very soon. You can also see another barracks coming out. Obviously, he can afford that extra barracks now that he has this base up and saturated. So let's cover that build order one more time here. We're going to be seeing a 10 depot, 12 racks, 13 refinery, 16 orbital command, 18 supply, factory comes down, 20 supply. You're going to be putting the reactor on the barracks, and then once that finishes, you lift it off, you put the factory on the reactor for those double Hellions, getting a total of 4. 22 supplies when the command center comes down, 27 supply, you're going to be getting a tech lab on your racks, and that's going to be used once that finishes to start that combat shield research, and then 28 supply is that second refinery. refinery at your main. Now, of course, once the command center finishes, change it to an orbital command, put it on over to your expo, and then while you're moving out with that push, you're going to want to get up that starport. Make sure you get up that engineering bay as well. That's very, very important, not only just for those upgrades, but also, again, for those missile turrets if you do see mutas on the board. Alright guys, so thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed this strategy video. As always guys, if you like the content, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Keep watching and keep owning.